Good morning and welcome. You're with us here in Business Today, and we're counting down to market opening for you this morning. Let's take a look at what's hot in the corporate and financial world. Global cues trending mixed today. Wall Street ending lower with financials the worst hit. S&P 500 futures trading flat after a pullback from record highs. Japan opens at an all-time high while other Asian markets trade mixed. Indian markets are again watching cues on India-US trade deal developments. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar holding talks with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio on trade, critical minerals, nuclear cooperation, defense and energy, with both sides agreeing to stay in close contact. The World Bank has maintained a steady outlook on India's growth, pegging GDP expansion at 7.2% in FY26, led by strong domestic demand and consumption. Growth is expected to moderate to 6.5% in FY27 if higher US tariffs continue, even as the bank flags a gradual recovery thereafter driven by services, exports and investments. Results season continues. Infosys, HDFC AMC, Union Bank of India set to report Q3 numbers today. Infy likely to show modest growth, focus on FY26 guidance, deal pipeline and client spending outlook amid global uncertainties. And the IPO buzz picks up. Flipkart, Fidelity and TPG-backed logistics firm Shadowfax filing DRHPs for its 1,907 crore rupee IPO. The issue opens Jan 20th, closes Jan 22nd, with a 1,000 crore fresh issue and 907 crore OFS. Well, the bull run continues in precious metals, so let's bring that up for you first. Both MCX Silver and Gold continue their bull run and in fact trending at new record highs. Let's pull that up for you on your screen. Breaking news there. MCX now hitting a new record high, up 7,000 rupees at 2.82 kilos, 2.82 per kilo. At MCX Gold rising about 600 rupees to 1.43 lakhs. That's the latest on those prices. Remember, we've been tracking the constant trajectory to those higher levels, and this morning yet another new record hit on both gold and silver. So MCX Silver now hitting a new record and MCX Gold as well. Let's track those prices for you. Silver up 7,000 rupees at 2.82 per kilo and gold up 600 to 1.43 lakhs. That's record prices there on those precious metals. A good start to Mahasakranti. We're joined by Shailendra Bhatnagar and Sharad Avasthi, Head of Research PCG at Smiths. Good morning, gentlemen. Clearly, even while the markets are slow and steady, the bull run on complete charge when it comes to the precious metals. No stopping those prices there. Sharad, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, they seem to be on a different chart vis-a-vis the Indian markets, and the Indian markets have been underperforming for quite some time now. Yeah, but I think, largely unless and until geopolitical tensions really spiral into a different zone altogether, the probability that the kind of returns we have seen in silver and gold for them to replicate over the next 6 months would be a bit difficult. So I think that is one space. And when we look at silver, I think the type of movements 5, 6 times from the low 6, 7 times, it more or less peaks out and post that big corrections happen. Whether this time it happens or not because of the advent of EVs, etc., and how they play out, we don't know. But generally, I think the risk quotient is a bit on the higher side, though right now nothing seems like that. So I think that's a bit risky to take a call on silver right now. Even gold, unless and until the geopolitical scenario, worsens to a different degree, I don't think gold also makes much sense at these prices.
All right, so that's the latest coming in there from Sharad. I'm just looking at a whole host of stocks and news, and earnings, of course, are trickling in, Sharad. The big one we're watching out for, of course, is Infy from the IT pack, so that everyone can make a sort of consensus view on IT. But there's also been a whole host of numbers coming in from the broader markets. Anything that's caught your eye so far?
No, I think the insurance numbers have been good. There's some Tata Tech could be one thing that could be turning around. I think with the type of management commentary that we have heard, the results are still to come out. For Tejas, I think maybe the worst numbers are behind us. From here, we could see some improvement. But it's again a risky call because over the past few quarters, they have not been able to perform up to the benchmark. So barring that, I think on balance, what we would take is from the IT space, we would see that that more and more ramp up is happening with respect to the deal wins they have had over the period of time. But not much to talk about. I think the more companies that come out and how the outlook pans out with respect to the global scenario, that is something we are keenly looking at. So right now we are still talking about a very small number of companies that have come out with numbers, not much to take away from whatever we have seen.
All right. Shell, good morning. Counting down to opening, just a couple of minutes to go. And, we've continued to see pretty much slightly mixed, confusing and nervous factors at play. So clearly the index is still holding for 25648 is where we closed yesterday. What's the setup looking like today?
Good morning to everybody and a very warm welcome to all on Makar Sankranti. The sun enters a better orbit, and let's hope it brings us a lot of joy, a lot of happiness and a lot of financial wealth. Abha, the indices are not in sync with each other in the lower and the higher time frames. Therefore, we'll avoid them, but we'll pay attention to metals and chase silver and chase gold on the equity side. Therefore, Manappuram Finance, Muthoot Finance, Hindustan Zinc, and in particular, let's look at what the other metal stocks are doing, like Nalco and Hindalco. So that's the trade on the long side. And of course, the chemical sector is showing signs of a turnaround. So those are the spaces that I am looking for. I'm not interested in any news that's coming from the geopolitical space, except that oil is perking up. Therefore, ONGC, therefore, Oil India on the long side, and BP and HP on the short side. Abha.
Yes, oil is perking up and definitely seeing little bits of indicators there, but we will wait till that really picks up in full form. And agreed, I think the consensus is quite clear. Focus continues to be on metals as well as on, of course, precious metal related counters such as Muthoot, Manappuram and so on. Clearly, the trend is intact over there. Some other smaller pockets, Shell just mentioned chemicals, but overall the trend is weak, and even in broader markets, earnings have been few far in between to track, and some of them in fact have even been negative. But some recovery buying coming in at lower levels. Waiting and watching now. IT, of course, we're eyeing Infi numbers today, but overall the IT pack, even though TCS and HCL Tech were a surprise, hasn't really seen any kind of runaway move. In fact, the IT index in the pre-open also seeing a marginal downtick. Anything key expected from the Infi numbers or that you'll be watching out for on commentary, Sharad? Just a quick comment on Infi in particular.
Yeah, I think the forward-looking numbers would be very interesting to watch out. The type of guidance improvements that they can suggest. I think there is a possibility that they might improve on the guidance that they have given earlier. So that is something we will keenly watch, and the ramp up of the deal wins and new big large orders, large deal wins is something that we are focusing on with respect to the Infosys numbers.
Okay, just counting down to open now and just taking a look at some of the other stocks in news this morning, just to see, what else we should keep an eye on. Sika Logistics, of course, they've got a project of 4,000 crore plus. Keep an eye on that one, for instance. We've got Premier Polyfilm with earnings, small company there. Same with JD Cable. So we've got a lot of these stocks in the broader markets individually that may see some traction on earnings. The index itself down about 0.3%, continuing the downtick there, as Shell also mentioned. Nothing much to write home about on the index today. Nifty Bank also quiet. So clearly no action there. Let's pull up IT, just take a look at how it's doing this morning ahead of Infi numbers. Let's also take a look at financials and see if there's any respite there, or on oil and gas. Infosys down 0.7% right now. Clearly, market doesn't seem to be too enthused, and in fact, perhaps is waiting for some larger triggers from the market right now. So HCL Tech still saw some amount of reaction post earnings coming in. Overall, still being perceived as neutral. Same with the TCS, and awaiting an Infosys this morning. All right, let's take a look at what else is on our charts today in terms of some of the financials, the oil and gas space, just to see if anything else is happening across the board and any sort of bright spots that we can pick up for you. Marginal upticks coming in. Hindalco as expected. ONGC continues to be up about 0.7%, factoring in some amount of an uptick in oil prices there. We've got Sun Pharma, Infosys ahead of numbers is steady. So that's what it's looking like on the gainers list this morning. We've also got CLSA with an outperform coming in on Indus Tower. We've got Nomura saying buy on Indian Hotels. So we'll run through some of these shortly as well. and take a look at where they stand right now. But on the losers list, we've got Hero Moto, Asian Paints, Power Grid. So clearly, perhaps auto also sitting out this morning. Asian Paints, Power Grid also pulling up some of the losers list there. That's Industars for you. That one's got an outperform from CLSA with a target price of 565, saying they'll benefit from Vodafone Idea's AGR relief. And Indian Hotels will pull that one up for you as well. Nomura putting a buy with a target price of 830, saying strong visibility on ADR growth and improving earnings quality as well as robust demand-led growth as well. Positive call, but the stock's already seen quite a bit of a run-up, so just a marginal uptick coming in this morning. Shail, what else are you tracking?
Well, Abha, I'm looking at MCX. It's a no-brainer. This is again the silver play. Remember, MCX is the exchange on which silver trades. So whether traders make money on trading on silver or not, MCX will make money offering that platform. So this is 5 times cheaper. Remember, it was at 11,000 rupees some time ago. A stock split has made it relatively cheap in the eyes of retail traders, and therefore you see this very sharp rally that is coming in. Infosys showing strength, as also PNB, and of course Steel Authority of India, BDL and PNB. This is what I'm watching.
Okay, we've got a stock split also in Kotak Mahindra Bank, ex-date tomorrow, stock split from 5 to 1 rupees. Neutral impact coming in there, but just mentioning that for all of you. So Kotak Mahindra Bank will just pull it up and mark it for you quickly as well. So that's on Kotak. And remember, we're tracking those silver and gold prices. The government has also upped its gold base import price to $1,485 per 10 grams. That's up from $1,405. And on silver as well, they've upped that base import price as well. The index is very quiet. Advanced decline ratio is very weak this morning. We're just tracking some individual counters on earnings. We've got Kalpataru delivering earnings, Lotus Chocolate, for instance, some of these smaller counters. Muthoot Microfin, the board's going to be meeting on the 20th to consider a fundraise via MCDs. So that one's in the news for those reasons as well. And a few other stocks from the broader markets as well on some news-based action, but it's limited this morning. Sharad, what does one do in a market like this? It's been, fairly weak, tepid for those who are invested in the broader markets. I mean, neither are they getting any support from the larger factors at play, and neither are we seeing too much action on individual stocks.
Yeah, I think this calendar year you should be prepared for these big volatile movements on both sides. I think the traditional matrices being used till now very effectively. I think this will be a market which will be very volatile. So you might not be able to form a view based on certain movements on either side. So it's better that you keep deeper losses in space, and you plan to make good money. So when you're making good money, book your profits, get out and come back into it once you get an opportunity at a lower level. I think that should be the mantra for this year. Just buying and holding something might not be very beneficial, though we are bullish on balance over the next 5-6 months. But because of this whiplash up and down, there could be serious implications. So I think the ideal strategy should be to use every dip to buy and then sit on it for a decent amount of time.
All right, I can see Puravankara buzzing, and I'm just going to bring that up. I think it's on an order win, perhaps. It's a 300 crore rupee order from Sattva Residential Project. That's the news that I'm tracking in Puravankara. Let me see if there's any other news as well coming in on the counter, but it is buzzing in trade today at this point of time. Real estate has, of course, been a positive theme throughout, Sharad, and I want to get your perspective there, because this is largely not a space that's likely to be impacted from some of the other factors we've been tracking. Demand seems to be intact, order wins and kind of development projects that we've been hearing about across some of these real estate companies, and at least up till the last quarter, very healthy earnings as well.
Yeah, till last quarter, Abha, even the expectation was that most companies would do very well. But I believe the way Signature and one more company probably has come out and dampened the outlook with respect to what's happening in particular pockets of the country. I think the outlook has been a bit dampened by them, but I think the long-term structure remains as it is. For national players who are not regionally concentrated, I don't believe the hit will be that much. Or rather, I would still be optimistic because the next 6 months of deliveries that they were planning is very high for most real estate companies. So I think we continue to be bullish. I think Godrej Properties within the larger players would be my top bet. Among the smaller players, something like a Suraj Estate or even a Signature, if you want to take a contra bet, I think would be a good bet at these valuations. Maybe it does not do much for the next 6 months, but beyond that, I think they could recover very smartly.
All right. That's a good comprehensive call on some of those real estate counters there. Bank of Maharashtra Q3 net income is up 26%. The stock's up 2%. Let's pull that one up for you. Nice to see a bit of a bright spark, and that too in the PSU banking space. Quick look at these earnings, 2% higher on a Bank of Maharashtra. Shail, what's your first take here?
Well, Abha, for the last 3-4 days, we've been talking about the PSU banks driving up momentum. Look at how the CPSE index of PSU companies is rising. This is a pre-budget rally. There are two very strong tailwinds in the PSU banking setup. The merger of smaller ones into the larger ones, and of course, credit growth being higher in the PSU banking sector versus the private banking sector. So look at PNB, look at Bank of Baroda, look at Canara Bank, and of course Bank of Maharashtra. Very, very good valuations, very good dividend yield, but you also need an advice from a good financial mind, which is Sharad ji. Happy New Year to him and a very warm welcome.
Yes, Sharad, let's get your take as well.
Yeah, Happy New Year, sir. I think the way I'm looking at it is finally maybe, for a brief period of time, the PSUs might outperform the private sector banks in terms of advances, growth, etc. But generally, I think the type of NBFC relaxation, etc., that we have seen, it should be good for most of the banks across the board. The valuation comfort is more in PSU banks, so I think that catch up is still going to play out, and the NPAs have come down, and most probably you might see some improvement in the return ratios also. So I think maybe for the next 6-7 months, there is a theme that probably PSU banks will continue to outperform private sector banks.
Okay, metals moving, of course, and silver ETFs also moving, and literally telling you that this is the only thing in the market that's actually moving right now, apart from one odd bright spark here and there on earnings. There you have it. You've got Hindalco, you've got the silver ETFs, you've got a whole host of those metal counters that are on the move, and that's really continues to be the only bright spot in the market. I mean, just look at the Nippon Silver ETF, up 4.5%, record prices once again. And it's really just no stopping the action on this side. Just to play devil's advocate, Sharad, and I know you gave me your view on this basket earlier, but everyone has been wondering, particularly on silver, whether we could equally see a huge amount of volatility or a crash should some of that safe haven, sentiment wear off. I mean, while silver, of course, is also moving on the back of investment demand, there have been periods of volatility. So how sustainable do you think is the rise, or is this is the conversation that's been coming up over the last few weeks, despite the kind of records we've seen over the last year?
Yeah, see, I think short term it's very difficult to take a call when you have so much speculation, and the commodity side has a lot of speculation with a lot of margin in it. But when we looked at the long-term data, we found out that once in every 15, 20 years, there is this kind of spike. And then, when a spike happens, stories evolve around that. There are storage issues, this, that, shortage, some margin shortage in some bank or the whole banking system. So these are stories that keep coming up. But I think when any asset goes up by 5-6 times, there is a high probability, that maybe it goes up by another 1x. You never know. I cannot comment on that. But it's very hard for them to sustain those levels. And generally, silver has been one commodity which has crashed also very sharply. And it is not like copper where the supply side will take a lot of time. So unless and until there is a demand impetus, which is very long-term in nature and will keep it there, I think when we are looking at long-term price performances, maybe a month or two, we might look like stupid, talking about silver falling. But I think it's done more or less what it had to do once in a cycle, which happens once every 15, 10 years. I don't know. But beyond that, to sustain that momentum is very difficult. So I think, yeah, I would not want to bet in favor of silver, but the type of momentum there is, it would be hard to bet against silver also.
Okay. I also want to talk about oil and gas, but just quickly, let me first mark Swiggy, down over 1% this morning. UBS has cut the target price, and Zomato's down about 1% after the no 10-minute delivery branding that has been directed to them. So Swiggy is down about 1%, and the fun and games continue when it comes to the delivery counters, and we've got Zomato down, or Eternal, just climbing back now a little bit from its low this morning. All right. I want to just mark the oil and gas space because, Sharad, we've been lucky now for a while, a couple of years in terms of very steady oil prices, no issues. Not really from the fiscal or macro point of view right now, but just from a capital market point of view. If we do start to see that uptick, given the global factors right now, would you still look at some of the stocks that are likely to benefit, or would you still steer clear at the moment?
There are two pieces to it. I think the view regarding oil remains bearish only. We don't expect oil prices to go up substantially with the advent of renewable sources, etc., electric cars. I think a big piece of the demand goes out. So I don't think oil is going anywhere, barring occasional hiccups here and there now because of this murmurs around Iran, etc. There is a lot of nervousness. But long term, the view is that oil keeps going down. So I think OMCs would continue to be a contra bet that I would want to play out on. They would continue to benefit long term. And regarding the other part, which can benefit from rising prices, I think oil and ONGC are very attractively priced, and some developments in Venezuela are also positive for ONGC. So I think. It's on and all. I cannot take a view that oil companies, particularly the exploration companies, are bad at these valuations. They seem very attractive to me, though the broader picture might not be very bullish from them, considering the oil price outlook. But I still think they would maintain these earnings over the next 2-3 years. And considering that, I think the valuations are very attractive for oil and ONGC. And within the OMCs, we think HPCL is the most attractively valued.
Okay, great. That's the view coming in as oil and gas counters. Do keep an eye on them. Currently, with everything that's at play, you never know what the next move will be on oil. Okay, quick look at metals once again. Have to leave you with that because that's really where all the action is this morning. Remember, gold and silver prices once again skyrocketing. You've got silver ETFs on the move. You've got metal counters on the move. Hindustan Copper, Zinc, Hindalco, the usual. Everything is constantly seeing gains this morning, and that's really where all the action is concentrated. Quick note on Bharat Coking Coal. The allotment is today. It will be listed on the 16th, so that's on Bharat Coking Coal. And of course, we're watching out for some key earnings as well. And Infosys will be the main one that we'll be keeping an eye on so that we can come out with some kind of consensus on the IT pack. Outside of that, Bank of Maharashtra, Puravankara, some of the names in the broader markets that are seeing a little bit of action on the back of earnings and otherwise. We'll come back and talk you through market closing at 3 p.m. That's all from us for now. Thanks for watching.